Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we are not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past, it is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and today we're sitting down with Bree Dellerson, an expert in inner alchemy who bridges the gap between the mechanistic body and the living light field. And we're going to discuss how to consciously create your vibrational health. What if the disconnected chapters of your life were actually the precise blueprints for your greatest work? Bree, excuse me, Bree Dellerson is a sonic acupuncturist, clairvoyant, and vibrational alchemist who sees what others can't and shifts it in real time. For 25 years, she's worked with those already walking the path, people who've done the work and are ready to go deeper. Using sound, clairvoyance, and energetic precision, Bree remote views your reality, identifies the dissonance keeping you stuck, and restores harmony at the root. Her clients don't just shift, they recalibrate to the frequency of their deepest truth and create realities that reflect it. Whether one-on-one or in transformational group work, Bree's approach is clear. Tune in, transform the pattern, and embody the life that you're here for. Bree, I'm so happy to have you join me here today on my show. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon. I'm happy to be here.
It's lovely to see you in a little dress, all nice and warm in Florida, and I'm sitting here in jumpers, freezing cold in West Yorkshire. Love the global connection that makes this world a smaller place. So Bree, how did you get to this perfect place right here and right now?
I just followed my feet. Life led me to exactly everything I needed when I needed it. My parents provided the perfect environment, little did I know at the time, with all the things that I really needed as, I came up in the world. I think my life was just designed this way. And I followed the signs. I listened to those inner kind of nudgings and just learned what I wanted to learn that I was really interested in along the way. And then there came a point where it just all kind of coalesced and came together.
I really like that you say that you're designed to do the work and listening to the inner nudgings. I just wrote my blog about that this week, about having a premonition and not listening to it for whatever my reasons, but loud and clear. So yeah, listening to what you're being given is a really important aspect. So you've had a real calling for all of this, in your early life too?
Yeah, but I didn't have a reference for what I was supposed to do. This didn't really exist when I was coming up into the world. And, my parents are from the Western side of things in Western medicine. So I didn't really, when you're little, everyone's like, oh, what did you want to do when you grow up? And I just said, well, I want to be a nurse because I didn't know what else to say. I just modeled it after my mother and my father. So, but, it took me until like decades later where I started to finally connect with someone that showed me this is really what I want to do. And that was my first teacher, my first healer, my first mentor, the first time I ever felt my feet on the ground. And I was like, this is how I want to work.
Mm-hmm. And so about when in your life did all of that come into being?
Well, I was always attracted to the esoteric and metaphysical. Even as a kid, I was always like reading the almanac about the gemstones and the flowers and, Greek mythology and all that stuff. But it wasn't until I went to Montessori training. I was trained to become a Montessori teacher in early childhood education, where one of our field trips was to an aromatherapy shop. And I was speaking to the woman there, and this was before you saw aromatherapy in any of the stores. Like this is well before that. And I was just telling her I could always feel people in my body. Like I couldn't get them out. I knew when they were thinking of me, it was really disruptive. I would have to like jump up and down. And she's like, "Oh, you need to see Elena." And she worked upstairs. So I called Elena, I booked an appointment, and my life changed. That's when I realized like, oh, this is how I want to work. And so she was my first teacher. And they find you, find them, they find you when the timing is right. This was during my Saturn return, of course. So it makes perfect sense, cosmically. And so, yeah, I've been walking this path for over 25 years.
And did Elena work similarly to how you work now, or?
Some similar tools, but very different in the approach. So she worked with sound, she worked with crystals, she worked with flower essences, essential oils, all of those things. But the way in which we do it is different. So we can all have the same tools, but we bring ourselves to the work.
Oh, of course. And things evolve over time also. I mean, like you, none of the work I was doing was readily available when I started out either. Um, so that's really cool that when your mentor comes to you, I mean, I had to be literally, I always joked that spirit pushed me down a cellar window recess because I was gym bunny and working out at the gym all of the time. And I think that my energies were needed elsewhere. And so I hurt myself so I couldn't work out. And then, of course, all of the messages started coming to me in different ways to finally go and do energy work. So, you were still teaching at Montessori then when you started to do your healing work?
I, Yeah, in the very beginning, I was still teaching. I taught for several years, but I was always integrating, like acupressure into the classroom. And I'd studied acupressure and shiatsu. I had, studied a lot of things with the body. I became a massage practitioner. I was really like gaining a lot of data and information. I'm not designed to be a body worker. I have very thin wrists. So eventually life, led me to acupuncture school, where I ended up getting my master's in acupuncture and oriental medicine. And that first day in class, I was like in tears because it felt like this is the glue that's going to take all of these pieces and hold them together. So it kind of gave me permission to do what I really do, but also have the amazing medicine of acupuncture in my toolkit. And the other beautiful thing about learning a map like that is it gave me more knowledge about what I was picking up intuitively. So I was already intuitively working on the body, picking up areas of dissonance, getting a lot of information about where those problems came from. But I didn't know the points on the body. I didn't understand that level of information. So I love information. I think it just deepens whatever intuitive self that I have. And
Well,
so,
it's confirmation also that you're that you're intuiting correctly, right? When it's there written in a book and go, yes, this is the point, and you're getting that information. It's confirmation too, which is always a beautiful thing to have, right?
yeah, and I love the way that in Chinese medicine we look at the body. We look at the body in patterns, and that's how I naturally look at the body. And it also gives me the language to communicate to my clients and my patients, like what's happening with their body in a way that they understand and in a way that they can actually, make changes so they can start restoring that life force and the flow of their chi in a health. Because everything that we're doing is down to this obstruction of the way your life force is flowing, and where that impacts you in your life is where we need to look.
I really like that because I've had a fair amount of acupuncture during my life, but not a lot of it was really explained to me. I mean, I learned meridians through energy work, not through acupuncture. So I quite like that if you're getting pins stuck in you, that you're explaining also what's going on. Because like you, I think a little information goes a long way in helping things land properly in the way that you need to receive them. And I like to know, well, what's connecting what, and
Right.
why is it like this, and why is it there and not over there? You know, I like how it all kind of comes together in a holistic way.
Yeah, it brings people into a better relationship with their bodies when they understand themselves a little bit more. So in the beginning, I was using, the acupuncture session as the format to do that, where it's like, hey, this is let me explain to you how this works energetically with your body, and then they become more in tune with themselves. Now I do it slightly differently, but it's always about me kind of helping you understand what your body is communicating with you, so you can have this intimate relationship with yourself.
Hmm. And so when you were growing up, did you intuitively notice these things that later with acupuncture you got confirmation about?
Did I well, growing up, I don't, I didn't have a language. I didn't have a mentor. I was kind of just in this world on my own, trying to figure it all out, like we all are, I'm sure. But I remember myself being very aware of things. I remember myself being very sensitive to things. My grandfather would come visit and he'd try to sneak up on me, and I'd turn around all the time. He's like, I can never get you. But it's like I could feel the pressure in the air, change. So I'm very sensitive to those things. But, I didn't know how to filter. So that came much later. So I had the sensitivity, but I was just in it.
And so you're not using acupuncture as your main framework anymore. Are you still using acupuncture?
It always informs my work. It's never not a part of my work. I'm able to access the points remotely when needed. But I do have a couple of clients that come to the house for acupuncture, but it's not the main focus for my work, no. But I use it in the field with all the tools that I use. So yeah, you can use the sound remotely, to stimulate certain points if need be. Everything. I do color remotely. I do flower essences and essential oils remotely. People can smell them on the other side of the world, which always amazes me.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
because we're all connected. So I'm just working with the field. So I'm able to have a profound effect that way. I think it's just a preference with how people want to receive the treatment.
So when you're working with someone like on Zoom and you pull up a flower essence, that client can smell it.
Most of the time, I say probably like 7 out of 10 times, they'll say, "Oh, I smell something." I'm
Oh,
like,
that,
and their flower essences, they have no smell, as opposed to essential oils, which do. So yeah, and usually they'll smell correctly. Like I'll look at what's in it and they'll be like, "Yep, that's what it smells." Or they'll have a color come to mind and they see the color of the flower. So we're very connected in the work when we work remotely, which I love. It's
that's
really,
really cool. I mean, I early on when I had clients, I played with all of my different senses and I would train myself to not look visually for it, but just to wait for information or to feel something. And I played with this with my clients. They didn't know they were my guinea pigs, but I was learning, and it was so fascinating to receive information in different ways. But the smelling thing, I didn't do that one because I just thought I never felt secure enough in terms of what I would smell to get the information I needed in a session. Maybe I didn't have long enough. But I do remember once smelling someone, and I felt like it was like a feeling because I feel, but I smelled illness in him, right? And turns out he did have cancer. And I thought, oh, that's very interesting. So I know that when I work with people and I go like this and they put their hands on top of mine, I can feel them and they can feel me regardless of where they are in the world. But smelling,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, that one
I'm going to
surprises
pull
me.
something out now to see if I can smell
I
it.
can, I have everything here. We can definitely play. Um,
Wow,
Yeah,
that's really
I'll
neat.
do something that I know that has like essences in it that you can smell. But when I was working more in person, I even tasted things a couple of times. Usually it was like post-op patients, that I was treating. And then I would like taste something horrible, or like, post dental surgery. And I'd be like, "Ooh." So when I get different information when I'm touching someone versus when I'm working in the field. And I enjoy both. I enjoy the variety, but I love being able to serve a lot of people at one time remotely. It just amplifies the whole situation. Let me think.
Yeah, that's
To come in.
really exciting.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you'd share some of your modalities. So yes, let's
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't have all of my smelling senses back 100% since having COVID and long COVID for 3 years. So
Oh.
I'm always very excited when I can smell something like honeysuckle or food cooking. That's great. I can't seem to smell the awful things, so that's not so bad. Like my kids' dogs tooting. I can't smell that. And they're like, oh, gross. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. I'm not missing out on that. But it would be really interesting to see. Oh, maybe, I don't know, can you do it across the board so that everybody who's watching could see if they could smell something right now?
Yeah, we can do two different things. We'll do
Okay.
the flower essence, which doesn't have an aroma, but people smell. And I'll do something that I know has like essential oils in it, and we
Okay.
can. So I'm going to bring in the flower essence first. So first, before I do that, let's just kind of like
Yeah.
come to our. Let me bring in some sounds here too, just kind of help people come together. Kind of get a sense of yourself here. Maybe take a few breaths, bringing that diaphragm into the belly. Start connecting within. Just get a sense for the vibration that your body's broadcasting right now. Is there a place maybe where it sounds out of tune, or maybe it's tense? Good. And then just relax the breath. So when I bring in the flower essence is going to start interacting with your field. And I want you to be able to discern the difference, however you discern that. So I've got my surrogate here, Miss Minzy. She's going to help us out.
Cute.
She gets all the essences. It's another way I work remotely, using her. Okay. So now just feel into the vibration around you and see if you can sense this vibration of the flower coming into your field. It's going to start to gravitate. We're working with intelligent information here. So the flower has particular intelligent qualities that's going to restore the qualities of yourself, of your I am, of your true essence that's been, out of balance. So it might gravitate to certain parts of you in your body or in your field. Just begin to see where she interacts with you.
That's really interesting.
What are you noticing?
Well, I feel energy, right? So that's how I really notice. And to me, it feels like it's like little ripples and waves like this, like coming towards me, almost as though I'm like coming towards me. Kind of all around me. But like at first I felt it coming like this, but like little ripples, little as though it was water, but rippling towards me. Yeah.
Yeah. And, if this were to have a scent, because it does come from a flower, are you just kind of open up the other senses and see what information you get from this vibration, from this intelligence, from this life force? Can you hear it? Is it imparting any messages to you? Are you knowing something about this? Can you smell it?
I just keep getting purple and purple, but then I have a lot of purple all around me, so it could just be that I'm a purple person. But
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what flower it is. I said it only I used it only because you spoke to it, which is honeysuckle.
oh,
So it does have kind of purplish and pink colors to it.
honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle.
Mm, that's fascinating. Oh, I'd really be very interested if any of you viewers are picking up, if any of you picked that up, picked up honeysuckle. I can't smell that, but I did definitely feel a vibration coming towards me, which was very, very cool. Yeah. And then when does honeysuckle bloom? I think that's kind of early summer because I know there's a big bush right here near where I live. So when that blooms, I'm going to go out there and see if I can feel that same vibration with the
Yeah.
flower because I've never kind of, um, I guess, connected a vibration to a flower. I don't work with them. So that's a fascinating thing to play with, which I think,
Everything is vibration. Your food.
yeah, everything is.
When I go to the market, I like scan the produce section. I buy all live, food that is full of vitality, and I see which one's speaking to me, and I know that that's the vibration I need. So that's what I end up buying. And I've always done this. It's conscious eating, right? So like, what about
Right.
the music you're listening to? Like, what are you
Yeah.
drawn to? What are those vibrations? And are they enlivening you, or are they, doing something else? Maybe you're using them to sedate or suppress because you're dealing with something that you don't know how to deal with in that moment. So start paying attention to the things that you're interested in, that you're magnetically attracting, that you're in resonance with.
That's really important what you just said, that everything is vibration, absolutely. And I definitely live by that rule. I am very careful about what I watch. I won't take in anything upsetting, anything violent. I really don't want to listen to harsh music either. I think everything really matters. But in terms of, like, I like to be near trees. I'm definitely a tree hugger. I love to put my arms around trees and communicate and connect that way, but I've never just sort of sat with flowers before. So now I'm going to need to do that too. It's fascinating. And in December, I had friends staying here, December until March, actually, and they only ate organic food. So from the beginning of December, I've only eaten organic food, and that was a palpable difference in my body, in the vibration, how I felt eating the food, the cleanliness of it, how my body responded to it. It was really, really interesting. So I shall never go back, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way with food. I remember years ago, my parents were visiting me out in Seattle, and we went to this really nice restaurant, and I ordered a filet, right? So I eat this, I start cutting into this meat, and I'm like, ooh, this animal was really well cared for. I could just taste it. I didn't know what I was eating. And then the table behind me, they're like, oh yeah, this is Wagyu. And we had like Wagyu, places nearby. And those cows are, known to be well cared for, like Kobe. And I was like, wow. And so ever since then, I became hyper aware of what I was eating. And I was like, I tried to become vegetarian many times during my life, but I could never sustain it. And so yeah, so it took me a while, but the last couple of years I have been completely animal free, and it was a complete shift in my consciousness. And it was a fascinating journey of how much, you know, awareness was brought to how I was eating, and what that did to me. So
Mhm.
now, the thought of even eating anything connected to an animal, it just, we're eating the energy of their life force. And a lot
Mhm.
of these animals are suffering. And what is that doing to the energy of our bodies? Like, we're ingesting all of that information. So, for me, like you said, you just can't go back. So now I've been able to sustain it. It's been 2.5 years, and it's been the best decision I've ever made.
Well, I went the other way and I went on the carnivore diet, but it's about finding grass-fed, free-roaming cows who are being taken care of and everything. And I found that that really worked for my body. So I think it's important to find the plan that works for you in the best way. I had 12 years of being vegetarian many, many years ago.
Yeah, I went back and forth for a long time too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think finding where you're at and what's going on, but I would definitely agree with whatever you're doing is look at the cleanliness of the food, the vibration of the food, the organics of it. Where does it come from? How is it prepared? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and are they
So,
humanely raised or not? That's,
yeah, correct.
yeah.
So that was really very interesting about the flower essence. And you want to tell us some more about some of your modalities?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm an acupuncturist who uses that, in all of my work. Everything I do, everything I am informs, everything I've learned informs my work. It's me. So I incorporate sounds. That's a primary thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yep, and flower essences. So all the tools that I use are diagnostic and therapeutic at the same time. They help me read, I can remote view basically the field, and it shows me where there's dissonance and it harmonizes it simultaneously. I also tend to get a lot of messages in that process. So in my sessions, I guide my clients into saying self-directed compassion statements, which help uncreate that pattern for themselves. So in that sense, it's like the needle that they can feel when they say these statements for themselves, and they can feel their body shift and respond to that in a really palpable way. I
So
use
they're like their own acupuncture needle.
Yeah, the
Hitting.
statements that I give them act like the needle. So they're like when they say it, they can feel how it lands. They can feel things shift. It brings to the surface. It goes right to that place. You know when you're over the target and you say something and it's like, oh, we had a big shift, and you can just see them recalibrate in real time. So I love using that modality remotely and in person too. I do color puncture, so color, I bring color into the mix, or a soma. And I did a lot more in the past. I haven't been doing them lately, but I do vision drawings as well. I used to do these before all my acupuncture patients, and it would give me a lot of information as to what they were coming into the session with, and it was always accurate. So I did it online as well.
What does that mean, a vision drawing?
Um, it's I would have, well, I would have like the four bodies like on the anatomical chart, and I would just start drawing. Now I just use a blank paper, or I would just start drawing like what's in the field, and I would get all this information. And I also found that it was also clearing the pattern as well, so I could use it in the same way as any of my other tools. So it's another remote viewing tool, but it also clears the pattern. And
Kind of
so
like automatic writing or something, except that it would be drawing what you were picking up in the field.
for me, when I feel into automatic writing, that accesses a different part of my awareness and consciousness versus the drawing. The drawing, when I used to do like monthly group online sessions, which I've put on pause right now because I'm focused more on my group programs, but I used to offer these, and in the beginning I would do the drawings and get information about what's coming, what's going on with the people in the group. And so it's a really good way for me, if I'm not seeing things clearly, I could use that as a tool to connect and clear the pattern.
That's fascinating. Wow.
So I think, yeah, I'll,
That's
I'll play with anything, like I said, it's all vibration, it's all information. And it's like, hey, if I'm doing this in person, let's see how it works remotely. And it always works because we're all in the field together. So it's really, the living light field is the field that I work in.
And when we were talking the other day, you mentioned flower essences as boundaries, which I thought was a really interesting concept. You want to talk about that?
Well, there's one flower essence in particular that helps you establish healthy boundaries. So they all have different aspects that they confer that help you bring those qualities of yourself back into balance. And this one, Centauri, is one that I came across in my studies, and I have the whole kit here, but she comes up a lot. And this is to help you establish healthy boundaries.
Mhm.
Can't really see it here. There you go.
There it is, Centauri. Yeah.
Centauri. And, you know, it's about, so when I take the flowers myself, I like to really be with the vibration like we just did. And I'm like, you know, what is this showing me? What does this want to say to me? Like, I really get into this relationship with it. And this one taught me so much. And honestly, I'm still integrating a lot of it and for myself. But, you know, we talk about healthy boundaries and immediately like there's a tension in the body. Like we have to say, you know, like that, right? And we're like, I have to say no, but there's this tension. But a healthy boundary, there is no tension. It just is. So how do we come back into that sense of self? And so what I've been learning with this flower in particular is that a healthy boundary is one in which you are the, let me find the language. I had it even this morning because I knew you were going to ask me this. I'll just share with you what's coming through. You think you know who you are, but you don't. This is the first thing that's coming through. And I actually took Centauri before we started because I wanted to be in harmony with it because I knew we were going to have this conversation. And a lot of times the boundaries are overstepped because you don't know who you are. You're acting as who you are not. And so when you start to reestablish a healthy boundary, you become the perfect vessel for your own light to come through. And you start to say no to things that are not in resonance with you, and yes to things that are. Just like we were talking about the foods, we say no to things that are bringing us down. What vibrations are not supporting us? What vibrations are supporting us? And so this is what this one does. It tells you, you know, it's like when we say no to those things, we actually give ourselves more energy.
It's really, it's a lovely switch. What you're talking about here is because boundaries, most people think of boundaries as separate, right? Like this is me, that is you, but you're talking about a kind of wholeness within yourself
Yes,
so that that separateness is no longer, that this is me, myself, my energy field, what's aligned with me, and what isn't aligned with that isn't going to come into the mix. And
exactly.
natural, healthy boundary. Mhm.
Exactly. You're in integrity with yourself. You're coherent. And years ago, when I was exploring boundaries for myself, I realized that the heart was at the center. Like we can talk about it in masculine and feminine too, but I feel it dilutes it because there's so much like, you know, consciousness around that that isn't necessarily pure consciousness, but ideas of things. But I will just say this without labeling anything. When you have the heart at the center and then the structure on the bound of the boundary, it's like there's this like place of suspension. It's like when your body, when you're doing, you know, any kind of body practice, and your spine is aligned, and you can just this inner support. You don't have to hold yourself up in any way. There's all different types of boundaries within you, around you, but you are this beautiful, like geometry of a boundary designed to bring forth this living light through you in a particular way. So when any part of that is weak, then you begin to become porous to other people's ideas of things, programming, other people's thoughts, all of that stuff. But when you are in integrity with yourself and the energy of your own heart, then you just are that. And it's just, you begin to experience more of who you are rather than who you aren't. And
I've
there's
got to get me some of that. Centauri, is that a Bach flower remedy?
It is a Bach flower remedy. I have a different company that makes them, but yes, it is a Bach flower remedy.
It's going to go flying off the shelves now.
Right?
People
Right?
are going to be like, what's happened? Why is all of that going away? Yeah, because I'm going traveling soon to Turkey on my own. And I was just listening to you and thinking that would be a really good, I don't really work with flower essences, but that would be a really, I liked what you said. And I liked about the being in alignment because especially in a foreign country, You've got to have your wits about you a little bit more, and you want to be in that magnetic state of attracting all good things to what is really you, whilst still having your adventure and play head on. And I thought that sounds like that could be a good time to start using some of that.
Yeah, and maybe do
Yeah.
something also that can address the underlying fear that something might happen to you when you're going to that country. So let's look at that a little bit deeper. So yeah, you want to have a healthy boundary, but why are you feeling vulnerable? Because there's some underlying fear. So there's a couple of remedies that are really wonderful for fear.
Mm-hmm.
You might
Mm-hmm.
want to add that to the mix.
That's interesting. Yeah, I hadn't planned to go on this trip alone. So that, yeah, it kicked me into, I had a whole process of this was what I had the premonition about. And I knew it, arranged it all. And then, yeah. So it's very interesting. I know it's all supposed to happen. So I got quite excited about that now because it's like, okay, universe, I'm clearly supposed to be going alone. Let's see what happens next. Very interesting. Um, yeah. I'm just looking at our notes about the flower essences. And so the clients that come to you, because it's one thing to know yourself and your own level of your empathic ability or your vibrational attunement, but what about people who come to you who might not have any clue about all of that? I know you work with people who are already awake, but there's different levels to awakeness, as you know.
Yeah, people find me at the most fascinating times, like in their life and in my life. Like there's always like a poignancy to when our paths cross. And so I'm
Mhm.
aware of it for myself, and as are they. And so it's always fascinating to see who comes to me and how they want to use me in that way. And so I typically attract people who are seekers, who are in the midst of a huge transition,
Mhm.
whether it's loss or their caregiver or their marriages, relationships are changing, career changing. I mean, it really is across the board. Health issues, it, but again, for me, it's all about patterns. And so they're in the midst of like an identity shift. They're birthing themselves into a new paradigm of being. They might not know the way, or maybe they've tried all of these things and they don't know what else to do, is usually when they tend to find me. Or they know there's something there, but they don't know how to get there. And on the other end of all of that, when we start clearing out all that's in the way of them being embodied in themselves and at one with their I am, then their purpose starts to naturally come through. And so it's amazing. I have this client that I've been working with almost a year now. And she came to me with like a really rare, like autoimmune kind of condition that she said it was like she felt like she was the walking dead. She just couldn't see, like, it was just, there was no joy in her life. And so we started working together, and then like 7 months into it, I thought it was a year later. I was surprised that it was only 7 months later. She ended up starting her own project to support other women, and her first event had 75 people attending.
Wow.
I mean, it was just like amazing to see what happens, by interacting with the intelligence of the living light. So, yeah, I don't know. So these are the kinds of people that find me. It's really amazing to see how this light flows through them and what they're here to do. And ultimately they feel like they want to be of service to others, but there's something blocking them from being on their path. And that's really what's causing all the dissonance and dis-ease in their lives and in our lives. Like, where are we off our path? So that's the ultimate. But they find me at these times of great transition and looking for integration.
I loved that you said instead of giving people homework, that you give light work.
I do light work. Yeah.
And I thought, boy, I wish it had always been called light work. I would have had a much different relationship with school, I think, if it had been called that. Um, yeah. And so when you start to open up, so what happens when you're working with someone and something that you've never seen before comes up?
I say, wow, I haven't seen this before. I said, I was like, wow, this is new. Like, I just got really, I'm like really interested. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
this? So I'm very like open about what's going on when I'm working with someone. I was like, wow, this is cool. What is that? Okay, let me look into that a little bit more. Let's see what this is about. And yeah, so I'm just completely honest. A lot of times there's a lot of similar feelings to a lot of the patterns. And I've been doing this for long enough where I really am familiar with that. So it's really interesting when I come across things that I don't know. It's appearing in a new way, in a new form, in a new feeling or whatever. But again, I just approach it like everything else. I'm curious about it. Like, it's like, what's here? Like, and what do we want to do with this? And how is it, like, let's see, let's interact with this and in this pattern and see how we can bring it back to a state of lightness, state of integration and wholeness.
It's wonderful when your clients are willing to let you explore with them. I was in Peru on one of those trips, and my shaman had said to me, I think that you should work with clay, white clay. And I was like, why? He said, oh, you'll figure it out. I was like, oh, no, don't do that. Just tell me why. Tell me why. So I go to the shaman shop and I tell Maria, who was the owner of the shop at that time, that I wanted, this is all in Spanish, that I wanted to work with white clay. And she's just like checking me out. I felt completely naked and she's looking me up and down. And I was just like, oh man. And then she said, yes, okay, fine. So she goes to the back and brings out this white clay. And I'm looking at it like, so can you tell me what I'm supposed to do with it? And she's like, you don't know what to do with it? I said, well, no, I really don't know what to do with it. So she said, you have to get baby urine, ideally baby urine, or it can be the urine from your client, but baby urine is best. And you mix this clay in with the baby urine. And I'm listening to this like, am I understanding this correctly? And you mix the clay in with the urine, and then you basically use this clay in the urine to scry in a bowl. And I thought, okay. So I go home many months later. I have a wonderful client who lets me try out all sorts of new things. And I said, well, I have this white clay, and if you could bring me some of your urine, why don't we play with this? And she looked at me like, are you serious? I said, yes, I'm serious. I said, we'll just play with this because I don't know what's happening. I'm not really a scryer, but let's just see. So we're mixing this clay up in the bowl with the urine, and it was amazing the amount of information that came out of that bowl and out of the urine with the white clay. She was looking at it like not getting this, but I was getting all sorts of information. It was absolutely fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
That
So,
is,
yeah, I mean, who knew, right? White clay and urine. Yeah.
yeah, I had not heard that before. I don't think it's something I'm gonna try anytime soon, but uh,
I
I,
have
I, I like my tools.
kid- my kids just had a baby, so I was like, if you can collect some of her baby pee, we can we can play with this again.
Right? Wow.
But it's really fascinating. I think that it's wonderful when you have very trusting clients because you can really evolve your own gifts and learn. I learned so much working with my clients to see what would come up and go, oh, what is this? What's happening there?
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Yeah, I've
So
been blessed with my clients. I love each and every one that I work with. And, there's this beautiful trust between both of us and we play together in this way. And yeah, it's great. I think, a lot of it is because they feel seen. I think when someone feels seen, they feel safe. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, seen and heard. So tell us about what's your program called?
yeah. So my main program is called Path to Wholeness. It's a 12-month program, and this is where most of my clients end up kind of funneling in. There's other ways to work with me as well, and I'm happy to talk to people and see which one is really most suitable for you. But this is really like the crux of it. And the reason it's 12 months, it used to be 6 months, but over time I found out like one, it went by super quickly. People weren't ready to leave, or if they left, they wanted to come back. because what happens is, and I learned this from my private clients who are working with me longer term, is there's an intelligence to the way that the patterns unfold. And so like you'll have shifts in every session, like you'll always feel something. But there are these like cumulative pivotal, moments. The first session I call a breakthrough session because it really is. It really like brings you to this point of who you are beyond the pain, and you can feel it. Like everybody feels this part of themselves, and it's really powerful. And then, but what was happening is the seventh month, just like the client I just referenced before, is when there's a huge identity shift. So in the first few months, we're kind of like working with the feeling of safety and getting you attuned to, your intention and getting clarity, and then in the second, in those 3 to 6 months, you're starting to recalibrate. We're doing a lot of the inner alchemy and doing the clearing, which we do in every session, but that seventh month, there's a pivotal point where that new identity starts to come in, and deeper layers that weren't available or accessible before begin to rise to the surface. And so I create the containers so you can have the maximum amount of support and transformation based on this natural, intelligent unfolding that happens that I've witnessed over the years. And so that's Path to Wholeness. It brings you from the breakthrough to heart sourcing your intention and understanding what your heart wants for you, clearing what's in the way, coming together with groups, working with me one-on-one. It's really supportive on all levels. And yeah, and then by the end of it, it's like, you look back and wow, I'm me. I'm more of who I am. And I didn't have to go anywhere to get there. I just had to keep coming back to myself.
Mm-hmm. And how can people find you, Bree?
Yes. So there's going to be a link I think we talked about, right, in the description, because it's very long to add my website and stuff. But yeah, I'm happy to give the people who are here or interested access to one of my resources called 3 Steps to Consciously Creating Your Vibrational Health, which is 3 steps that I actually use in my own life on a regular basis, and that I also use with my clients on a regular basis. So you'll be able to feel this transmission on the page. I just had a call with another person who's signed on to work with me recently, who did the steps. Most of the time we get a resource from someone and we're like, yeah, whatever, we don't even look at it. But I encourage you to use this and notice how it feels for yourself. She said she had to sit with the 3rd step for 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden she can feel her heart energy like moving throughout her entire body. And she felt so different the next day. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you is really going to support you, and it takes practice, and so that's why I'm here to help you, learn that. But through that, you'll be able to, schedule a call with me. And I'd love to talk to you about what's alive for you and how, where you are and where you want to go.
I'm pretty sure we can put that on the Transformational Talk Radio site on this show page, and certainly on your guest page. I'm not quite sure how all that's going to work, but we'll definitely get that link out there. And if you can't find the link anywhere, please contact me or Bree. And Bree's website is www.breedellersonlac.podia.com. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a little long, but my name, LAC for licensed acupuncturist.podia.com.
Yeah. Or you can contact me, shannonoflaherty.com or shannonbtv.com, and ask for that link guide. But I think there's a way we can get it on the site too. So
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
so that Path to Wholeness sounds really wonderful. And when you have one-on-one sessions with people, how long do you generally work with them for?
How long is the session itself, or just an hour?
Just an hour. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cover a lot of territory in a short period of time. We're working in no time, really. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think most people are looking for innocence and freedom and lightness and joy, right?
Yeah.
To one degree or another.
Yeah. And that's what that breakthrough session consistently takes people to. Because when I started doing that, those were the four things. I know we talked about this last time. So yeah, those are the four things consistently people would say after that first session, that they feel their sense of innocence again, lightness, freedom, and joy. Yeah.
Wow. And that's something that has been in them all the time. They just needed to have a guide to help them access that.
It's been covered up, right? It's like got that clay that all over it. Not the white clay with the urine though, just different clay.
Not that clay. That's very shamanic. That sounds really beautiful. So yeah, talk about our hearts being a much bigger force field than our brains. Talk about that a little bit.
I mean, there's so much science now about heart coherence and what it does. I mean, this is why we love to be around horses. I mean, I just watch shows on horses and I can feel it, because their heart field actually extends like 5 feet or more away from their body. So they have a greater, heart field than humans. But it's amazing. I mean, the heart, I don't know, it's the core of my work. I mean, I realize like having to surrender to it is really key. This is why, one of my programs will be exclusively working with the flowers and the heart and clearing those 12 gateways. What we've learned about the heart isn't really what's true about the heart. There's a lot of science coming out about the heart not being a pump, that it actually is a vortex, right? And so it's spinning the blood and creating toroidal fields within the body. We're electrical magnetic beings. The heart knows before the brain. I mean, there's so many amazing.
The heart itself has so many different toroidal fields, all of its own,
In the
besides
different.
our own. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we actually have neural cells within the heart. They function, like I said, before the brain. In Chinese medicine, the brain is actually governed by the kidneys. It's called the sea of marrow. It's not this like.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so the heart is the mind in Chinese medicine. So
Interesting.
here we have that polarity shifted. So, I'm always getting us to, in my sessions, like, let's reverse that. Let's connect those two, because that connection is key. We want the brain to be subservient to the heart, not the other way around. But we need both of them to function, so everything functions appropriately. So it's not like we want to discard any part of ourself. We want to embrace all aspects of ourself. This is about the integration, not about cutting anything off. We're about bringing everything to get back together again, defragmenting our drive.
For thousands of years, they've known that the heart is at the center. So why did we in the West get all twisted around? That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's the first organ to develop, and when we're embryos. I mean, there's so much like amazing information about the heart. That being said, what is it like for you to connect with the intelligence of your heart? And that's where I take people.
Well, yeah, because people are so stuck in their heads about everything. People are manifesting from their heads, from their intellect, yeah. So they're missing out on the greatest part of themselves that's being left out of the mix too. That's quite fascinating. And you also spoke about vibrations, about higher and lower vibrations. Just touch on that briefly.
Yeah, this is something I'm sure everyone's familiar with. Like, oh, I want to stay in a high vibe and stuff. So we've kind of demonized low vibrations, but neither are bad or good. It's a spectrum of vibrations. And so when you think about the whales, I mean, that's low vibration, right? Or gorillas, or, elephants and subsonic, the way that they communicate. So it's not bad. It's about the purity of the frequency that's key. Is it distorted, or is it harmonious? That's where I'm refining my languaging around that. So it's not about high vibe, it's about pure, clear vibes, harmonious vibrations.
Your inner alchemy.
Yeah, that's the center of the work. I have a lot of kind of, phrases that I use. Inner alchemy has been with me for a really long time. When I graduated from acupuncture school, I didn't really feel I could call myself an acupuncturist. I didn't feel like that was who I was, but I was definitely an alchemist. And so it's about always doing the work in here, because what we do in here is the world that we create and that we get to experience ourselves in our own world. And so anything out here that's causing you problems, you want to kind of go back in here, and then we start to see, like, what is that? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? Like, what's, like, let's deal with the sensation and the vibration of that in the body. Let's transform that and restore that back to a state of harmony, and then experience how the outer world meets us from this new place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely beautiful. So before we finish today, I'm just going to give our viewing and listening audience a few downloads based on everything that we've been talking about, because some people don't believe on the intellectual level that things are possible, that anything is possible, or you might not believe that you're still innocent, even though we all have this innocence within us, as Bree has just been talking about. Or you might wonder how you could possibly reconnect to that innocence. Because so many people are so filled with the guilt and sins of all of the stuff that you've ever done in your lives that you don't believe you could ever feel free. So these downloads are really about knowing and understanding the possibility of all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you want to receive this download, put your feet flat on the floor. If you haven't had any water today, drink some water now if you can. And have your hands up and open, and just say, you can just relax them down so you're not hovering, and just say yes out loud if you want to receive them. So let me just connect in. I know what it feels like to know that I am more powerful than I believe myself to be. Say yes if you want to receive that. I know that it's possible to access innocence, lightness, freedom, and joy. I know and understand in every cell of my body that I am already everything I am seeking. I know that my innocence has been alive within me always. Okay. So, Bree, if our listening audience could only take away one thing from this conversation, what would you like them to take away today?
You are all that is.
Beautiful. We really are. We really are. Remember the I am. You're connected to everything. Everything is a reflection to you. Thank you so much for being my guest today and sharing with us your wisdom and your knowledge and your energy and your beautiful vibration and playing with flower essences with us. That was really fun. And remember, you can find Bree Dellerson, lac.podia.com. That's just off the top of my head. So if I can remember it, so can you. Thank you, Bree, so much, and lots of love to all of you, and see you next time. You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.